In the vast and ever-evolving landscape of modern business, where innovation is the currency and disruption is the norm, few individuals have left as indelible a mark as Jeff Bezos. His name is synonymous with ambition, vision, and relentless pursuit of progress. Few figures cast as long a shadow as Jeff Bezos, whose influence stretches far beyond the boardroom and into the very fabric of our daily lives. His creation, Amazon, is more than just a company. It's a global ecosystem that has fundamentally altered how we shop, work, and interact with technology. Today, Amazon is a fundamental infrastructure of contemporary life, seamlessly woven into the routines of millions. From the moment we wake up to the time we go to bed, Amazon's presence is felt, in our homes, on our devices, and in the way we expect the world to work. Yet, it all began with a simple, almost audacious idea: sell books online, capitalizing on the internet's explosive growth in the 1990s. What started as a modest online bookstore quickly became a launchpad for something much bigger. Bezos' vision for the everything store rewired our expectations as consumers and redefined the very nature of business innovation. He imagined a place where you could find anything you needed, delivered right to your door, and then set out to make it a reality. Before Amazon, next-day delivery was the stuff of science fiction. The company sold not just products but unprecedented convenience, speed, and reliability, reshaping what customers believed was possible. Bezos' relentless focus on customer experience, his willingness to think long-term, and his commitment to data-driven decisions powered Amazon's meteoric ascent. Every innovation, from personalized recommendations to one-click ordering, was designed to delight the customer. The now famous empty chair in Amazon meetings symbolized the customer, reminding everyone that every decision, from website design to logistics, revolved around serving their needs and anticipating their desires. Without Bezos and Amazon, the evolution of retail, logistics, and even the internet itself would have unfolded at a much slower, more incremental pace. Amazon's innovations forced entire industries to adapt or risk being left behind. Amazon's creative destruction accelerated the demise of legacy retailers and spawned entirely new industries, from e-commerce logistics to cloud computing startups, forever changing the business landscape. Its influence now spans cloud computing, entertainment, and artificial intelligence, all stemming from that original vision of an online bookstore. Amazon Web Services powers much of the internet, while Prime Video and Alexa have redefined how we consume media and interact with technology. Without Amazon, the digital landscape and daily routines of millions would be almost unrecognizable. The world as we know it, faster, more connected, and more convenient, owes much to the blueprint Jeff Bezos drew for modern commerce. Before Amazon, online shopping was a scattered, clunky frontier. The idea of buying something with just a few clicks was more science fiction than reality. The digital landscape was wild and uncharted, with few rules and even fewer guarantees. In the early 1990s, the internet was mostly the domain of academics, tech enthusiasts, and hobbyists. Commercial activity was awkward and rare, with most people using the web for research or communication rather than shopping. The average person saw the internet as a curiosity, not a marketplace. Early e-commerce sites were little more than digital catalogs, static pages listing a handful of products, often with grainy photos and minimal descriptions. The interfaces were slow, unreliable, and often confusing to navigate, making the process of finding and buying products a real challenge. Consumers were understandably wary. Entering credit card information online felt risky, almost reckless, and stories of fraud or lost money circulated widely. Trust was the biggest barrier. Most people simply didn't believe their money or personal information would be safe. Shopping online required patience, technical know-how, and a willingness to troubleshoot. Search engines were primitive, often returning irrelevant results, and there was no central marketplace to bring buyers and sellers together. Every step was a potential obstacle. Each purchase was a siloed experience. Every website had its own policies, payment methods, and customer service, or lack thereof. Reliability was inconsistent, and buyers often had to keep track of paperwork and receipts just to ensure their orders were processed. There were no customer reviews to guide decisions, no personalized recommendations to help you discover new products, and certainly no promise of fast or even reliable shipping. Waiting for a package could take weeks, with little information about its status. Retail giants like Walmart and Sears saw the internet as a minor marketing channel, a place to experiment rather than invest. They didn't see it as the future of retail, and their online efforts reflected that lack of vision. Their e-commerce efforts were half-hearted, rooted in the physical world. Websites were often just digital versions of mail-order catalogs, with little innovation or focus on the unique possibilities of the web. The infrastructure for e-commerce was missing. Payments were insecure, logistics were unreliable, and the overall experience was fragmented. Failed checkouts and lost orders were common, and customer support was often an afterthought. It was a collection of digital islands, each a separate, often perilous journey. Navigating from one store to another felt like crossing uncharted waters, with no guarantee of reaching your destination. No single force set the standards or built the trust needed for mass adoption. The industry lacked leadership, and consumers were left to fend for themselves in a confusing, unreliable environment. The world was ripe for disruption. A catalyst was needed to connect the pieces, set new standards, and make online shopping mainstream. The stage was set for a revolution that would change commerce forever. Amazon was the catalyst that made e-commerce mainstream, transforming the way people everywhere thought about shopping. Before Amazon, buying online was a novelty, something reserved for the tech-savvy or the adventurous. But Amazon's vision was to make online shopping as normal and accessible as walking into your neighborhood store. By focusing on books, a product that was easy to ship, standardized, and always in demand, Amazon found the perfect entry point. This allowed them to refine every aspect of the online shopping experience, from browsing to checkout, and set the stage for bigger ambitions. Amazon's vast selection and competitive pricing drew in customers who might have been skeptical about buying online. Suddenly people could find almost any book they wanted, often at a lower price than in stores, and have it delivered right to their door. But it wasn't just about selection or price. Amazon tackled the biggest hurdles, trust and complexity, by introducing innovations like customer reviews, transparent ratings, and a reliable, friendly customer service team. These features made shoppers feel confident and supported. Reviews didn't just inform, they built a sense of community. Shoppers could share their experiences, warn others about bad products, and celebrate great finds, turning what was once a solitary act into a shared journey. The one-click patent was a game-changer. With a single tap, buying became effortless, no more filling out forms or re-entering details. This innovation set a new standard for convenience and speed, making impulse purchases easier than ever. Amazon engineered a shopping experience that was not only easy, but also trustworthy and repeatable. People felt smart, safe, and empowered every time they clicked buy, knowing their orders would arrive as promised. As Amazon expanded beyond books, it brought the same reliability and ease to everything from electronics to clothes to household essentials. Suddenly, buying anything online became the new normal. Amazon's relentless drive to remove every bit of friction forced competitors to adapt or fall behind. The entire industry had to raise its game, making online shopping better for everyone. In the process, Amazon taught the world how to shop online. People of all ages and backgrounds learned to trust the internet with their purchases, and soon, shopping online became second nature. This created a powerful feedback loop. More customers attracted more sellers, which led to better prices and more choices, accelerating the growth of e-commerce at an unprecedented pace. Without Amazon's bold moves and constant innovation, e-commerce would have remained a fragmented, slow-growing experiment for years, never the global phenomenon it is today. Without Amazon's relentless pressure, brick-and-mortar retail would have evolved slowly. The retail apocalypse, store closures and bankruptcies, would have been a gradual decline. Malls and big-box stores would have stayed central to suburban life for longer. Digital integration in stores, like buy online pickup in store, would have been rare and slow to develop. Legacy retailers would have faced less urgency to innovate, and regional chains might have survived. The retail landscape would be less convenient, less dynamic, and more dominated by established giants. Amazon revolutionized logistics and delivery speed. Without it, free 2-day shipping would be rare. 5 to 10-day waits would be the norm. UPS, FedEx, and the Postal Service would face less pressure to innovate. Last-mile delivery would remain underdeveloped, and gig economy delivery services would be scarce. Massive fulfillment centers and new logistics jobs would be absent, changing city landscapes and employment patterns. The national supply chain would be less sophisticated and responsive. Online shopping would be for planned, non-urgent purchases. Immediate needs would still require local stores. Instant gratification would be replaced by patience, fundamentally changing consumer behavior. Amazon Web Services, AWS, quietly transformed the tech world. Without AWS, cloud computing would have developed much slower, likely led by Microsoft or Google. Startups would face high upfront costs for servers, stifling innovation, and slowing the rise of companies like Netflix and Airbnb. The internet would be less dynamic, with established tech giants maintaining tighter control. The shift from on-premise data centers to the cloud would be gradual, not revolutionary. Affordable, scalable computing power for AI, analytics, and research would lag behind. The digital world would be less integrated, more expensive, and less innovative. AWS's absence would slow technological progress across nearly every industry. Without Amazon, instant gratification wouldn't define shopping. Buying online would be more deliberate, with more friction and fewer reviews to guide decisions. Consumers would rely on friends, magazines, and in-store advice, shifting power back to brands and retailers. The democratization of product information would be missing, making quick, informed choices harder. Brand loyalty would be stronger, and new brands would struggle to reach large audiences. Small businesses would find it harder to compete, and the market would be less diverse. Shopping would be shaped by established relationships, not by searching for the best deal. Without one-click and personalized nudges, people would buy less and spend more thoughtfully. Our homes and habits would be less cluttered by impulse purchases. Without Amazon, the corporate hierarchy would look very different. Walmart, with its logistics mastery, could have become the default online superstore. Barnes & Noble might have dominated online book sales and e-readers. Microsoft would likely rule cloud computing, with Google and eBay playing larger roles in e-commerce and logistics. UPS and FedEx would retain more control over shipping. E-commerce and cloud computing would still exist, but under the control of established giants. The landscape would be less dynamic, more consolidated, and shaped by incumbents, not disruptors. Amazon's absence would reshape society, wealth, and work. Jeff Bezos wouldn't top the world's richest lists. Wealth would shift to the Waltons or tech leaders at Microsoft and Google. Labor debates would focus on other giants like Walmart or FedEx, and warehouse working conditions might get less attention. Local retail would be healthier, with more independent stores surviving and communities retaining unique character. The decline of Main Street would slow, fostering a more diverse local economy. Life would move slower, with less convenience and clearer lines between digital and physical worlds. Competitors, the internet's infrastructure, and consumer habits would all look different. The vision launched from a Seattle garage left an indelible mark. Without it, modern life would be fundamentally changed.